some businesses where actually did not even go to that stage where spend like good 6, 8, 9 months on it. So yeah, definitely things did not work out. Now the question that you're asking, why is it important? Because I believe most of us in general, be it in business or in life, we are all celebrated for successes. And somewhere around in the last 3-4 years, I've started understanding one thing, that there is a lot to learn from failures.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Unboxed, the show where we explore branding, marketing, technology, and everything else. I have with me Sheyaf Hashim. He's a Dubai-born entrepreneur with a diverse career spanning nearly decades across industries like aviation, banking, non-profit, and more. He's founded several startups. Sheyaf understands the struggles and success of entrepreneurship. He's leveraging his insights as managing partner at Ubrik Media right now, an inbound marketing agency. I would like to welcome Sheyaf on the show. Welcome, Sheyaf.
Hey, Janesh, thank you for having me. Super excited to be on the show.
Sure. Now, we know each other for quite some time on and off. I thought our first conversation was in 2012, but then you reminded me that it was way back, so it's kind of interesting to know that we've had this relationship. But, it's been on and off. But again, I've been following your career journey and it's nice to know that, you've reached the places that you've reached. I would like to start off by asking you, like in your LinkedIn profile, you've mentioned something that caught my attention, which where you say that you've founded 4 startups and 3 of it has failed, of which 3 has failed. Now, why do you feel that is important to mention, and why is failure important?
I think it's a pretty interesting question to start with.
Yeah.
But like I was talking to your team yesterday as well, this LinkedIn bio is like not been updated for 7 years. Yeah.
So numbers have
definitely. I want to I want to one update this after the show. But apart from that, first off, when we hear the word startup, most of the people think today this word is thrown around quite a lot.
Yes.
Immediately people think it's a tech startup.
Yes.
So for me, when I say startup, it's I've been part of a lot of businesses when they were found, like in the founding stages. And technically more money was involved than what technically today some startups would be investing. So today that number is not 3. I could say in this past 10 years in Dubai, it would be close to 6 or 7 startups, I can say. In some of these startups where I was directly part of some businesses where actually did not even go to that stage where spend like good 6, 8, 9 months on it. So yeah, definitely things did not work out. Now the question that you're asking, why is it important? Because I believe most of us in general, be it in business or in life, we are all celebrated for successes. And somewhere around in the last 3-4 years, I started understanding one thing, that there is a lot to learn from failures. And especially be it in life or in business, the kind of learning. So recently, I keep hearing this quite a lot. It's like either you win or you learn. Yeah, the concept of failing, and this is one of the scripts many of us have, it did not work out, it failed.
Yes.
People don't see it in a way that because of this failure, what are the kind of learnings? And I remember during 2016 or 17, was working through Ubrik with a group of young guys from one of the universities. They had a startup idea. And while I was digging, I saw this website. It's not there anymore, which you should track all the failed startups. Some of them will even take off from the idea stage. Some of them even raise like millions. So if you click on each of the startups, you can actually, somebody has left some. Sometimes it's the founders themselves, or sometimes it is somebody else. They've actually mentioned the reasons. And to me, instead of understanding like how to build a startup that will thrive, I've always been looking at, in any scenario, be it a startup or my business, I want to understand what are the things that did not work, so that at least when I am actually starting something, I can actually avoid the things that did not work. And one of the most interesting things about startups and business also is nothing is linear. Yeah, I mean, in one of these, there is this very interesting course from YC, Y Combinator. The first class, this guy, his name is Paul, I forgot his full name. So he mentions it's counterintuitive. I mean, counterintuitive means in the sense, like if you're skiing, this is the example he takes. If you're skiing, you're going straight. Technically, if you have to stop, you have to put brakes. Yeah. In skiing, it's the opposite. Like you have to lean back. And how I connected to this immediately was because I actually tried skiing once. And I'm like, what is this instructor saying? So coming back, the failure aspect I think is very, very important because it could be the cultures that we come from. Failure is always hidden. So for me, I would like to be known as a person, let's say in the coming years also, okay, I've been part of a lot of businesses, directly, indirectly, being the founder. Instead of saying, okay, this many businesses have succeeded, but I also come with so many failures, the knowledge of the failure as well. Yeah.
One thing I picked up when you were just before we went online is what you mentioned about what your current role and how you're putting processes and people and resources and everything in place. And I think this has come from your experience, working with people, working with business startups and stuff like that, right? So you know what exactly works, what doesn't work, and then probably you're trying to put things together, in a...
I mean, this is, again, if you met me 2 years back, I would not have told you this. But today I can tell you this is, I think there are three important core quadrants or whatever you want to call it. People, process and systems. And it's very difficult to implement this in your personal life, let's say. But if you can, it's amazing. I'm trying. But in your business, I think one of the reasons, especially we both are coming from the service industry, sort of, yeah. Service is always like a sine curve. You have your good months, good years, and the industry keeps something new, keeps coming up, or whatever reason, the business revenue might go down. So during all of this time, right, one of the biggest challenges as a business owner is you have to retain your quality of service. You have to retain your people, good people. You have to retain a particular standard. And this is when I realized, like, one of the reasons sometimes when the sine curve goes down, we lose people, we lose good clients. When the sine curve goes up, bigger clients come, then I struggle to get good people. When I struggle to get good people, I struggle to give good service. Because end of the day in service business, it's not how good your offering is, it's also how good your client is taken care of, the experience they have. So this whole idea came from, so we implemented something at Ubrik 2 years back, still working on it. So I saw this movie called The Founder, McD's story, yeah. So from the whole story, apart from the guy, what caught my eye was this. What made McD's very unique was not the burger, not the shake.
It was a process.
Yeah, it has that speedy delivery system.
Yeah, exactly.
So in that whole thing of how they go to a basketball court and they do this in 3 minutes or whatever.
Exactly.
So
even the placement of the flow of things moving from one table to the other, and
so we call this McD's drill in our agency where we tried this. But again, when you try this, you understand, okay, you have a process, but you need the right kind of people and you need a system to run this. So coming today, I think for most of the businesses, this is something very important that I feel. Like if you have the right kind of people and if you set a right kind of process, and to support this process, if you have systems, then I think regardless of if you're in a product environment, you are set up for success, even in a service. So you can make sure. So the problem with another problem with the service is it's extremely dependent on individuals. I mean, we were just talking about this as an agency. Most of the time, I remember in 2019, I got a chance to meet one of the millionaires from Malaysia. He owns one of the telecom companies there. And the first thing he told me and my partner is the line of business you're in is very bad because barrier to entry is very low. We said, yeah, we know this. Second thing he told us, we did not know, but we knew, but we did not understand as a fact, is like heavily driven by your relationship. If tomorrow Sheyaf is not there or Junaid is not there, there is a very big part of your business which will actually eventually die out. So this is again one more reason, even being in service or in product, I believe if you have the right kind of, so people can keep going, you just hire the right people because the processes and systems are in place.
Exactly.
You can always have some sort of stability. Yeah.
I don't know if you've, being an entrepreneur, you may whatever you say makes a lot of sense, because I've read this book once. I don't remember the exact name. It's Systemology or something of that sort, where it's the author was a CEO himself. He was finding it incredibly difficult day by day, managing things. It was overwhelming. He was spending sleepless nights over trying to figure out stuff. The company was doing well, but at the end of the day, then he had to take a break. It was a nervous breakdown, and then he came up with set kind of processes and systems in place, and then he converted that into a book to help other people, other entrepreneurs with the same system. And it's essentially exactly what you just mentioned: putting systems in place, putting checks in place, developing a hierarchy of things, and making sure that even if you're not there as the CEO of the company or somewhere, it just operates on its own.
And this is one of the points that I thought we will talk about, is one of big learnings that I've had in the service business. There are a lot of people who will not agree with this, but I also think sometimes the leader or the owner or the CEO, whatever you call it, the leader might be the biggest barrier to the growth of the business. Himself, herself, whoever it is. Because I believe as a business, there are different stages. There is a stage when what the business needs is the leader being right there in and out. But there is a stage that comes, this burnout or whatever you call, after some point, the leader has been doing this for a long time, and he will start developing a lot of blind spots, and he is still operating the style of business might be when he started, and things have evolved. Market situation, still he can look at the news and he can predict, but people have changed drastically. Like me, I'm a millennial. When I got into Ubrik, let's say almost 10 years, I was like 27, 28, quite young. Today, I'm 36, let's say. The kind of people that I've been dealing with have completely changed. Yeah. And at Ubrik also, we believe it's all about the people, everything is around people. So all the changes that you see in businesses around how people have changed. So in our father's generation, the mindset was like, when they are working in a company, it's like, how can I serve you so that it can help me grow financially, whatever. Today with the millennials, even more with the Gen Z, it's like, how can you serve me so that I can help your business? So there is a big shift. So back in the day, it's like running an interview, hiring a person, you looked at the skill. Today it's not like that. And the kind of rules and regulations that people had, this is why if you see, look at businesses which have retained the best talent, and these are companies which have this kind of understanding, and also they're extremely purpose-driven. Purpose-driven does not mean that you have to solve some big problem that's happening in the world, climate or whatever. It could be, you could still be an agency, but you can still build a purpose around it. So this is, at Ubrik, past 2 years, I've understood this. How do I retain the best people? And you'll be very surprised. Some of these people are not driven by money. So in my ecosystem, I know some people who could, like, not to flaunt, but I know people in my ecosystem I work with them. They could make twice or thrice as what they're getting, but they are in the ecosystem because this is what they want. Because what they want is, and this is not mine points, there is this very famous guy from India, I don't know, he said this, our grandfathers worked for the roof. Basic roti kapda makan, or whatever you say, the basic stuff. Our fathers work for better standard of living. But the kids today, millennials and Gen Zs, they are not working for any of these things. Yeah, they work for peace of mind. They want fulfillment,
work-life balance.
They want work-life balance and all of these things. And it's a very slippery slope, but it's a very interesting thing. As a leader, if you don't understand these things, you will constantly have a challenge in building the business.
And one of the other topics that we covered, like when we were having this chat, is like essentially remote work. And you mentioned how, even in your line of business, you're dealing with people across the globe. and you have a team around the world. How has that worked out for you? Is it the new model style of working, or
Yeah. So
and you said one of the things that caught my attention was also the fact that you spend a lot of time with them, no matter where they are.
I mean, before COVID, even before COVID, I was somebody who would always try to push. I mean, I'm somebody who likes to have fun. Whatever I do, I want to have fun, like literally. So I'm like, you know what, working from home is a nice, novel idea. We see online, we see people in the West, US, UK market, some of them doing. We tried this even at Ubrik in 2018, 17, but it used to be once a week, somebody could work, but it was just like a casual thing. But like they say, COVID was the primary driver of digital transformation. Like it made everybody transform digitally. And in Dubai, being the service business, I have my office, like you have this office, we have an office in Dubai Media City. It's been there since 12 years maybe. In this 10 years, I can count on my fingers how many times my client actually came to my office. Prospects came, clients hardly came, and my biggest paying clients. So, but still, they always want to deal with somebody who is physically present here. COVID helped us, where people had to go back, and all of these big clients, they were okay with the fact of having a client success manager, like an account manager, sitting in India, because 80% of my team are from India. Yeah, so many of them, they said, you know what, COVID has said a lot of issues are happening. We want to go back. One of my 2-3 main guys, they said they want to go back. Then we start seeing like this is working now. But there are still people in the ecosystem in my business who are scared. Like, you know, now we are not seeing. Now we are coming to the office, we can see, okay, this guy is doing this, that guy is doing this. How this all turned around was productivity levels really start spiking. Because our office, in fact, we are an open office. If somebody cracks a joke, everybody is in on that joke. And it started, we realized that this remote, first it started working because people were able to focus more. But after that, we start seeing that when people start commuting, and everybody knows this, in Dubai, you are commuting 2 hours, you are spending 1.5 hours, 3 hours a day. By the time you are in office, you're already done. Being able to be at home in your own time, doing work, we saw again, when people really love this setting, right? You know, they started performing better. Then we're like, okay, we need to not control, but we need to be able to evaluate and regulate how this works. Because what happened because of this is many people who work from home, most of them, they get up in their room, there is a bed, right next to it, there is a work table. There is hardly, after one point, that line is blurred, where the laptop goes to the bed as well, and they start working more. So we start designing this whole ecosystem where we use Google workspace for Drive for sharing files, calls and everything. Then we have Slack for all communication. Then we got in a tool called Jibble. Jibble is, so this happened through stages. So we got all this collaboration. Okay, good. Project management, we got Monday before, now we move from Monday. Okay, this is also good. But still, people need to get the feeling of, and we have this thing every 30 days called constant grow, constant feedback. It's a loop. It's based on a framework called Start Stop framework, which we took and we made it Ubrik style.
All right.
So where, everybody, basically it's peer-to-peer review.
All right.
Where everybody in the team who they're working with, they will give 3 things that they are doing really well. They should not stop. 3 things they can start doing. 3 things they should stop doing. And this worked out very well for us, because also the size of the team, instead of a manager giving a feedback about 5 people, a lot of bias comes in depending on how the manager is. But here you have 5 or 6 people giving review. So we would celebrate all the good things. So after this, we sit with the person and we try and understand. So we tell them, you know what, 80% of your feedback is amazing. All the good stuff, well done. Then we'll see, what are your biggest? So most of the common thread people said is working from home, working remote. Sometimes they feel lonely. And for millennials and Gen Z, this is bigger than COVID. It's like 76% or something millennials and people, they're suffering from loneliness, even with a lot of friends. So we are like, how can we solve this? So immediately in 3 months, once we introduce this Jibble, it's a timekeeping platform. It's integrated to Slack. So the moment somebody jibbles in, we call it jibbling in. So there is a channel called check-in, check-out. So throughout the day, you can see people are checking in, they're checking out. You get this feeling of somebody's coming in, coming out.
All right.
Then we added one more layer of, you can even see what projects they're working on. So they jibbled in, they're working on this particular client, on this particular thing. kind of helped. Then we introduced a buddy call system where it used to run, does not run anymore, where every week there's a rolling roster of people. They're tagged randomly. They have to spend 10 minutes not discussing work. Because we understood the fact also, when you have workplace BFFs, like when people are very good, close to each other, collaboration increases. So with all of these things, we have a lot of, so every Mondays we have Monday motivation call, and Fridays we have end of week banter call. Monday motivation is one person picks up a topic. There is a list of 100 topics. You can either pick one, or you can come with what you saw this weekend, series that you saw, or you can talk about some eureka moment that you had. But it's 20 minutes is given. This is to break the Monday blues, because you're not even in the office. So people are starting, and something to get you motivated. Friday end of day call is just banter. People saying what they're planning to do, talking about the most random stuff. So internally within the team, now we have people who are working out together sometimes. They are planning to travel together sometimes. And all of these things are small recipes of retaining people. Because purpose, right? So you have a purpose that you're dealing with your business. At the same time, you need reasons to come to the office. And before COVID, my understanding of culture was get that foosball table. We had a foosball table. We had a nice couch. We had the PlayStation. I had the coffee machine. I had one cupboard full of snacks. I thought this is what people stay for now. People came, they ate everything. People were walking out in a year. People were walking out. Clients were walking out. Then it all, I believe, end of the day, it all comes back to the leadership again. It's very internal. So it is not their mistake. I thought there is some of the mistakes. So overall, I mean, I've given you bits and pieces, but there is a lot of work. But once you do this work, how I see results is when clients every week or every alternative week, we'll have some client write to us, specifically praising one or two guys in the team or telling the kind of impact. So for us, we have this value system. The first value system is people over clients. People over clients means be it the team, be it the person, we have to all be empathetic to the fact that that is a person. If they're behaving in a particular way, maybe they're having a bad day. You as a person. So we believe that this is how we give purpose in us. Like every client that you're working with, remember, we have clients who started as marketing managers when they work with us. Now they're directors. Some of them have become C-level. There is a lot of their hard work, and we are part of this as well. So this is how we start giving people purpose. When you give people purpose and you have a strong culture, most of the time, and you have this process systems are in place, even in a service business, you will see things start kind of going in autopilot. Every now and then something will break. That is given, which, every 6 months, 1 year, we keep fixing. But at least, you don't have to, I remember my initial days in the agency business, even if you travel, it took me 2 years to be in a place where I could travel for 1 whole month. But still, I'm constantly worrying about that one message on one call where some big client, something has screwed up. Now it's like every 6 months, once will happen. Back then it was I'm sure you can relate to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can exactly relate to everything that you're saying from point to point, because here from a brand perspective, we put a lot of focus on purpose, defining the purpose of a brand, and then aligning the culture to that purpose. So this is something that we do day in and day out for our clients. But internally, to be quite honest, we are also facing challenges. So I just want to ask you, how did all these ideas come? Did it happen overnight, or was it trial and error? And how do you find the right people to fit into your organization? What is the recruitment process like, and how do you retain them? So this is also very important, because sometimes you may have a great interview, you may feel like you've picked the right candidate, but then when they come on board and then they start working, we feel that there's a lot of gaps. And then do you keep them and mentor them and change them, or how do you go about that?
So there are a lot of things to unpack in this question. First, I just want to put it out there. Culture is a word that is used quite a lot. Culture is, like I said, is not the tangible things. Culture is not how people operate generally. To me, what I understood is culture is how people operate when something is not going well. Be it a client, or when there is a issue, or when there is a serious problem. Like, for example, this big screw up happened with the client. Be it the account manager or the person handling, is he going to take responsibility? If he has to take responsibility, he knows the company has a psychological safety. If he's not taking responsibility, say, all of us have kids. The only time they will be truthful is if they know there is no punishment coming. It does not mean you can have like do whatever you want. There is consequences, but culture is, in a nutshell for me, is like how people behave when things are not going well. Because when things are going well, everybody can be nice. Yeah. One is this. Second is, now you ask me, for example, how do we go about hiring people, attracting the right people? This starts, and this is something I have personally worked on at Ubrik for a lot of time. So it all starts with, again, from the founder. What kind of culture you want to build? Because this is very, very important. So if you know this, if you've defined, okay, this is the kind of culture I want, and there is no one right culture. It works differently for different companies. And if you look at big companies like Spotify, they have a different culture. Beautiful culture they have. For Google, they have a different culture. A lot of it is very, as per to me, in my opinion, they attract the young people with all the tangible stuff as well. Yeah. And for many people, that's what they want. But in my case, I'm like, work has to be a place where I enjoy working. And people should really like spending time with the people, because you are spending 8 to 10 hours a day, more than what you're spending time with your family. And for a good 20, 30, 40 years. So majority of your time in your life is going to be spent at work. So what is that place or that ecosystem that you create that people they don't have Monday blues. They're ready, getting up in the morning, they come by themselves, show up and do their best work. Starts from here. So with hiring, there are multiple things that have been put in place. From the moment that we hire itself, when we run, let's say, I primarily always scout in my network. People who I've known, people who I have dealt with in some sort of capacity. Especially I've hired people from the gym that I've been to, from the kind of activities that I've been into. Like I used to be in kickboxing at one point. One of the sales guys who came at one point came from my kickboxing class. Okay, from the gym. So I'm always, as a leader, as a person who's in charge, I'm always open. But this is still heavily reliant on me. But when we start hiring at scale for remote, then we start putting this process in place. We put the ad on LinkedIn. There is a very clear JD, and the JD is not about, we clearly say who you are. What if you're a good fit? If you have this skills, not the technical skills, attitude wise, you are this is a good fit for you. So to apply, they click, it's not easy to apply. They go to a form. In that form, again, this message is reinforced. First thing, did you read this? Even in this, 60% people not read. Once you read, they put, and you ask them questions, 20-30% on their technical side, 60% the questions we ask them, which they have to sit and fill. Now, in the past 1.5 years, a lot of people have been using ChatGPT to fill these answers, which is very clear. Yes, for example, when you put in a situation where you worked on a pitch for 3 months for a big client and client just rejected it, how do you react? You're having an issue with a co-worker, how do you react? Like we put them in questions like this and we see the response. From this, 80% of the importance is given, because I believe we are a knowledge economy, right? Soft skills and hard skills. Hard skills, like literally get you promoted. Soft skills get you fired most of the time. In our company, it's always soft skills can get you fired if you don't have good soft skills. And soft skills is something that you really build on, and eventually it will surpass your hard skills, because most of those CEOs that you see, they have more soft skills than hard skills. They have hard skills, but I have seen personally the best leaders, soft skills are what they have. So this is one book I read called Radical Candor. Beautiful book. Mm-hmm. And it has to be, as leaders, as middle managers, all these people, you have to always keep giving them constant feedback. So it is very easy to take decisions and be very, transparency is key. Today with millennials and Gen Z, this is very key. If you feel that they're not doing the right job, tell them the path you're going in, you look like this is not going to be, ideal for both of us. So I give them time. So personally in the business that I'm really involved in with Ubrik, people who get let go mostly are not for the hard skills. If somebody treats somebody bad, somebody lies, or somebody hides, does not take accountability, these are the things. So this is the way we retain. So when you start doing all of these things, a lot of people are also noticing this, other team members. And we are very transparent and flexible. We understand all of us are humans. Some of them are married, some are not married, some have parents. In traditional workplaces, it's some of the rules are written in stone. Today is the age of flexibility. Yeah. For me, people who are not client facing, as long as the work is done, I'm okay with it. So this is why we have one channel, let's say in Ubrik, called Ops All. You can see every day somebody's stepped out for 2 hours and they're just letting the team know. There is no problem. This is not going to your HR software system and all this stuff. Because end of the day, I've seen people who put in the time, they get the work done. Like one of the guys in my team, he's always working in the wrong hours. The results are amazing. Clients love him. He even delays a bit. I don't care. But his work is amazing. So you build things like these, and it's a very slow burn process. Because building something like a culture this is why I hire the top guys. The middle managers are like, there is a good friend of mine, and I learned a lot from her. Her name is Marilyn Zakur. She's from this company called Cosmic Centaurs. They help big organizations do this. I have like literally consumed all of their content. I even had her on my podcast as well. And whenever I get stuck, I build this whole value system from her, the guidance she gave me. So she always says middle managers are the most important people in any organization. The people who are in the middle. They get the heat from above and below.
You're in the middle. Yeah.
They're in the middle. So yeah, this is the way you can retain them. And like I said, slow burn process, you have to let it take its time.
You said that you spend a lot of time with the current generation, students, talking to them, mentoring them, and spending time with them. What is your general observation about their mindset? What do they want in terms of when you talk to them about their future career and stuff like that?
I mean,
what drives them actually?
Yeah, I mean, I would say millennials are always us. Millennials, we are always that generation which was in the transition. The guys who saw floppy to MP3 to the USB to SSD. We saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
The Gen Z, for example, who are in college right now, right out of college, we have some in our team right now also. There is a serious lack of direction. Millennials also had this lack of direction, but the confusion was less because the options were not much.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Gen Z, you can't blame them for any of this. The problem is the kind of information overload they have and the kind of content they're actually consuming. And 80% of this content they're actually seeing, whatever industry, whatever startups, business, everything is misleading. Like the biggest problem I have generally been in market, do these 3 things for this. It's never 3 things. It is 303 things. 300 things were done. So there is this common misconception that people want to, they have impatience. They want
quick results.
Yeah, they want quick results. And you can't blame them. They grew on instant gratification, be it from social media, be it the kind of food they eat, whatever they see. So they have this impatience and they don't have solid guidance because anybody they follow today, in 2 days, something will happen, they'll cancel them. That kind of mindset is also there. And they really don't trust. I feel they don't trust people who are boomers. Even millennials, they don't trust. But I think they have better bearings of what's happening than millennials when we were their age because of the information they are actually getting.
Exactly.
And there is serious lack of seriousness maybe. Okay. Now I'm talking from a context what I see in Dubai, because in Dubai, the socioeconomic status is different. Even if you are studying in a very you come from a middle class family, lower middle class also, still compared to somewhere like India, the mindset is very different.
True.
And the funny thing about, because of social media and the content, is even the people who come from a very lower social economic status, they are also thinking like this because they are seeing, I just need to build this content, become an influencer, for example, and I will make money. And all of these things, even if you do, are not working. So confusion is there, lack of seriousness, and they are extremely talented. Gen Z, they have very clear, they can think very clearly. One of the benefits they have is they can articulate, they can think very clearly. But because there is this low effort syndrome, okay, low effort, so this is why they don't see much result. And whenever I speak to these people, all of them have ideas, but because of no patience and they're not ready to take guidance, and they have this low effort, it all does not work in their favor. But if you look at some of the Gen Z guys or girls who have actually overcome these things, what I would have achieved in 10-15 years, in 2-3 years they can achieve.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of information, there's a lot of resources at their fingertips. We were...
And I usually tell, this is 3 things. Whenever I meet them, I always tell few things to them, like especially not from a business perspective. I tell them, and this is applicable to millennials, boomers, boomers, I'm not saying it's late, but they've already gone through this phase. For millennials, I think if you cross 30, it's very difficult to think of bringing on change. And you cross 40, I think it becomes even more difficult. Okay? But it's a challenge. But with 20s, who are in your 20s or you are in your teens and going to 20s, 3 things I always tell them is try to inculcate the right mindset. Mindset is core. There are a lot of different mindsets out there. Core is growth and fixed mindset. Growth says that you can learn whatever you want and you can build into it. Fixed says, I am what level of talent that I have right now. I'm just summarizing it. This is all what I have. I cannot build anything new. If you're listening to this, if you really focus on this factor, you can learn a lot. This is where the low effort syndrome also comes from, the fixed mindset. They're like, even if you put this effort, there is no point. This is not going to work. So mindset. Second is try to be around the right people. Everything that I'm selling, this is personally what has helped me. Like me, I'm born and brought up here in Dubai. The only thing that have really helped me is I believe I was always in this mindset of I was ready to work. It was not because I wanted to be a successful career person or something. Like no, I did not want to be idle. I wanted to do something. So this is the mindset I was in, and I was blessed to have amazing mentors and role models. Role models are people, you can take anybody as a role model. So anybody, according to the way I see it, role models are people you see them online, offline, but you don't have a line of communication with them. But mentors are people who you have a line of communication and you can directly speak to them and get feedback from. And the best mentors are not the people who are actively putting out themselves that I'm a mentor. The best mentors in my life are people who are not open to mentorship. But the only reason they work with you is they have a genuine interest in you growing. Find people like this. And they're everywhere, honestly. Yeah. So first is the mindset. Second is people. This is mentors, role models, even your friends. Especially if you're in school or in college, the kind of people you are hanging out with
makes a difference.
Can really show you, like it's not like 100% written in stone, but a probability is very high that you're going to end up somewhere, somewhat around. Like this is one good thing that has happened is back when we were millennials, like people who are very nerdy, always talking about serious stuff, they were quite looked down upon. At least in my case, today that's not the case. Like being a nerd, being serious, it's celebrated. It's nice. Wow. Some of these people, I think it's not because they're nerds they become successful. It's because they don't have the distractions.
True.
What as a teenager that you have, so people are very important. And the third last thing is being decisive. You will keep getting opportunities. Decide. Because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. If you're saying no to this, you're saying be decisive. And this is a big problem also. I see a lot of them challenge. I have this. So currently I'm working with a 22-year-old who's done exponentially well for himself in the past 1 year, self-taught, and is in this automation space. Yeah. But one of the things he also struggles is being decisive because of the information he has. I told him, don't worry, you're way ahead of the game. You will. So being decisive also, because when you decide, you'll move ahead. So, and for me, all this connects back. If you want to be decisive, if you have the right people around, you can always ask.
Sure.
And when you have the right kind of mindset, you'll always attract the right kind of people.
Sure.
So if your mindset is about focus, growth, purpose, you'll only find interest in people like this. So these 3 things I always tell any college kids I meet, high school kids I meet. Keep these 3 points. If you look at it, you can build on. Yeah.
Pretty powerful insights actually. I think there's a need to talk to them, engage with them, and tell them, communicate this with them, because most of the time, at a certain point in our lives, especially when we are young, we are looking for guidance. We're confused. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of information overdose, especially today. And navigating will be through this information is going to be quite challenging. So when you have someone with experience, guiding you through this, I think it makes it easier. And
one of the things that I also, maybe this question is coming is, even for these young entrepreneurs, if somebody asks me, what would you tell them? First of all, UAE and Dubai is the best place for you to be a teenager or being in college. Because at this point, if I'm assuming you don't have the burden of looking after your rent or something, you have the time. And everybody thinks, and the most common misconception of millennials and everybody is, you need money to start a business. You need money. In my experience, money is the last thing that you need. What you need is something, you need an idea. Ideas also. Today, getting ideas is even more easier. Like we've not even talked about ChatGPT and all of this stuff. I don't want to. There are a lot of people who will talk about it, and there are people who've spoken about it in this show as well. But the thing is that if you have that group of people and you have an idea, don't think about the money. If you have something good, Dubai, there are so many people sitting around with money who are looking. And this is not, I'm not even talking about the VCs or incubators, no. In your network, in your school, in your college, there are people there. This is my personal experience. I'm in a stage in my life, I'm blessed, thankful that any idea I would have speak to someone. There are always people saying, you know what, do you want money? I will put it. I'm very, like, I've seen this personally. Yeah. But second thing is, if you are somebody who is working on a startup idea and you're in college or you're a millennial, whatever. One thing I learned from somebody in one of my podcasts, my personal podcast, I had invited Roberto Carocci. He was the head of Microsoft startups. You know, now he's with PIF. He's a director of special projects in PIF now. That whole episode, one thing I took very strongly was, if you are working on a startup, all of us fall in love with the solution. Don't fall in love with the solution. Fall in love with the problem. And it's very difficult. And when I heard this, it's like my brain, some circuits started misfiring. Like it did not make sense to me. Like, what does this even mean? Like, fall in love with the solution. And this is
fall in love with the solution or the problem?
No, fall in love with the problem.
Problem, yeah.
I mean, what does this even mean? Like most of us, many of the startups that I've been part of directly or with the problem was, like, the first startup which I was part of is in 2010, where this term startup was new to me. I was in Bangalore, way ahead of his time. One of the guys I was with, it was called, it was a tech startup, way ahead of his time. Honestly, even before Byju's thought of it, and the platform was half ready, everything was ready. Because I was into designing, I designed the logo for that. And this guy told me there is this event called Startup Nation, Startup Bangalore. I went, I did not know what a VC was. I was in front of a VC and I was pitching. I did not go well. And they shrugged this idea completely. I'm like, at that time, what I felt, most of the people, the problem was, everybody loved the solution they built. They did not understand how bad the problem is, how much because what happens is when you fall in love with the solution, as I understood, in my case also, when the solution does not work, that is when you feel like done, you're broken, destroyed.
Exactly.
But if you fall in love with your problem, if this solution does not work, that problem can have multiple solutions. So this is definitely
this is exactly the same. I mean, our previous guest who came in, he's also a mentor. He mentors startups. He's into investment and co-creating value and stuff like that. So this is exactly what he told him. Focus on the problem than the solution.
Yeah. And this is something that really and one very important thing I learned 2 years back also is, if you are thinking for entrepreneurship, career, whatever, understand this fact that the time you have is not infinite. It's finite. See, when I met you, I always think long term. This is why I remember 2006 is the first time. I even told you when I always have this thing, and this is the only common theme in my life are the people that I've met. So always when you're working with people, this is also for kids who are in college or whatever, try to build relationships who are in for the long run. Like literally, you'll understand. So this is literally play long-term games with long-term people. Because this makes a lot. And if another thing as an entrepreneur also, again, if empathy is something that you're an empathic person, it's okay. Get good at it. You will constantly, running a business, I've been taken advantage of so many times. At one point I used to be angry. I'm like, I'm going to do something about it. Now it's like, just move on. This applies to personal and professional life. Move on. And eventually you'll really get good at this. But don't stop being empathetic. Don't stop being kind. Don't stop being like, when you're teenagers, you say, you know what, I'm never going to be good again. Like, you know what, now I'm going to show everybody. I mean, don't do all of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, try to have this balance. And this is some of the, very interesting learnings. If you're in uni, if you're not in uni, if you're currently looking for, and all of this works even at work or a business as well.
Right.
Because being an entrepreneur is not your end goal, end of the day.
Sheyaf, there's a lot of topics I want to cover. But I think due to limitations in time, I want to touch upon something that you're currently doing with Ubrik and the marketing landscape. You said that right now you're more specialized into the education sector. When did this enlightening, or because you from a generic marketing provider agency, you moved on to focusing on the education sector. Why did this happen, and why do you think specializing is important for any company, any brand?
Like you rightly said, from 2015, since I've been involved in Ubrik, we were a generic agency which will do anything. You'll call us for a website, we'll do website. Social media. What we will not do also, and personally, I had a very big problem with this because I'm personally in my life, I'm like, is what I cannot do, I cannot commit. I don't want to commit. Yeah. So I'm like, but this was the model. So very fast we understood like websites. I wanted to get out of projects or things which caused the most headache for me and the people that were working. So first thing I identified is website and social media, two things, if not done correct. If done correct, it can be really well. And there are a lot of people doing it. Now we are doing it as well, but we cracked the process. We cracked the client and all. So from 2015, 2017, we made one shift. We are more into content. From 2017, 2019, we went to another shift. Okay, got into automation, CRM. We drank the whole HubSpot Kool-Aid. We are a HubSpot partner. Inbound is the way. Then we realized, looking at all of this, we are constantly trying to build. One industry that we've really been focusing on is education has been our bread and butter. Like my partner Monash, he started Ubrik from Wollongong with three of his friends who are also one of them was in Wollongong with his masters with him. So we understand this ecosystem, quite well, because our bread and butter is paid campaigns and we manage a lot of money for big names here, even till date. So we're like, you know what? We understood we have to take this route, but still you are scared. Okay, what if you niche down? What if we lose 10 other clients? So this was a discussion that happened. But the biggest nudge to this was 2020, personally in my life and for the business, we had a very big change. You have that thread in life where something phenomenal happens. So I am on LinkedIn. One day I get a message from this guys from Brazil. And they're like, and very bad English. Looked like one of those Nigerian prince emails from, this was even worse. English was bad. But I'm like, we're sitting simply, nothing is going on, 75% of clients lost. None of the guys showed interest in taking up the call. I'm like, let me take this call. And this guy, again, they're Portuguese guys, based out of Brazil. And this guy, we had this call and could not understand half of what he said. They're like, we're coming to Dubai. We are education specialists and we are looking at agencies to partner with. Initially, they told you are the only guys we saw who are focusing on education. Later, we found out we're the only guys who responded. Nobody else responded. But they come to Dubai, I spent time with them, I suddenly see this is a company called Market for Edu. These guys were one of the biggest education solution provider in Latin America and US. And they're working with like 10, 15 unicorns. And immediately we understood that, look, an agency, only education, 100 people team, remote from day one. So I got to spend a lot of time with the main founder, one of the owners, Torio. He's been in education 20 years. I learned a lot from him about the business, about education. And this is when I took all of this. So we got into a partnership. We started working with some clients. It gave us some sense of purpose and we understood education. The reason I will tell you is there are a couple of industries which has the ticket sizes are very high. Like you have real estate, you have education. Real estate, you can buy 1 million apartment. You sold, that's it. Okay, there is LTV, maybe you can charge for maintenance and all. Education in that case, the number of people that you can bring in one enrollment and a K-12, you get somebody on the first grade, you at least have 6 years with them or 12 years. The LTV is very high. And the second thing is, this is what he taught me, and I always talk about this, is he told me there is CAC, cost of acquisition, lifetime value. We all look at it separately. Cost of acquisition today is how much you spend in marketing. No, cost of acquisition is everything that is spent in marketing, sales, support, outdoor, indoor, all of this money spent versus the number of enrollments that you've brought in. CAC to LTV ratio. Basically, to get one student, if you spend, let's say 1,000 dirhams, what is the lifetime value that you're getting? In education, this is one of the highest. In education. Usually in some parts of the world, it's 1. In normal business would be, if you calculate, be 1:4. If you spend 1 dirham, you'll get 4 in maybe 2 years, 1 year, maybe depending on what a business. In education, it starts at 1:8, 1:18 in Dubai. I see now I'm going to tell you immediately ideas will start, because this is why you see most of the, lot of good edtech startups are coming. But the reason, if you see in last few years, all these big funds have gone to education. I would like to think, yes, I'm not being cynical. Okay, it's good for impact in the world, but the investors understand the kind of return on the education industry is nuts. There is no other business that can give you so fast. And again, for us, we are talking about impact. We see we can work with a restaurant or a B2C business for 5 years. We cannot show what we've... With the universities that I'm working with, I could show you in one intake, I can show you in the millions how much revenue has been generated. Because it's easy to track. And these people are ready to spend. So this is why education. So now the kind of thought leadership I have in my team, at least in UAE, it's not a challenge, but you can't beat with the kind of know-how we have. And after working with these markets, understanding. So yeah, this is one of the reasons. And also it is good to be, I'm a jack of all trades, let's say, but master of one. As a business, I think being super focused, and this focus, right, it's a slow burn. Last year we started. This year openly communicated and committed to the team. Next year, it'll now still in the website, education is there, and direct manufacturing is the second industry we really work well with. Maybe the next year, that direct manufacturing will completely go. Because it's a whole business, 20 people, minds, like the whole mindset has to shift. So I believe definitely that niching out as an individual, if you're working as a business owner or in your career, whatever, niching out really helps.
It's something that we actually advocate strongly for brands, because when you position yourself as in a specific industry, like let's say for example fast food or something, you either McDonald's or KFC comes to mind, because they own that position in the minds of the people. So especially niching out and specializing, and you become the owner of that category, right? So defining that category and being the number one there is quite crucial for brands. And I think that's the right strategy to move ahead. And essentially, even in our own business, we were, like you said, we were doing many things. But then we understood that we need to specialize, and we broke it down into different components. So Unboxed specializes in brand strategy and
I've seen this trajectory from Element 8 to
Element 8 is still there, but Element 8 focuses more on the website and mobile application, and we have Nuox. Nuox is more into AI, technology, digital transformation, and so on. So we have different areas that we specialize in, because people want to deal with specialists rather than, even when you have something specific, you're sick or you have some kind of issue, you go to a specialist. So Sheyaf, that was a very interesting conversation, and that brings us towards the end of the show. But before we let you go, I know that you read a lot of books, listen to podcasts. Anything worthwhile recommending? Something that's really influenced you as an entrepreneur, or something that you do you listen to on a regular basis?
In my case, most of the books that I've read or podcasts that very little bit of them are business related. Because I always feel the best ideas that I've gotten are from not business books. Even though there are a lot of books I have on my list which I've not read, on business. Usually in a year I would read, like in 2020, I started this habit in 2014, but in every year 10 books I would aim. But now I'm like, I'll do 2 or 3 books, trying to limit information as much as possible and trying to implement whatever. But some of the books that made a lot of impact for me personally, this Power of Habit was the first book I read.
Power of Habit, yeah.
That was very, very powerful. Then Adam Grant's Give and Take, very strong book as well. Then this book, What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. It's a business for business leaders. It's an amazing book which changes your whole mindset towards like, I've gotten till here. That means I've done something right. You know what, this will take me there. That book is amazing. Then there are a lot of books actually. In fact, recently the book that has made a lot of impact is this. It's not an actual book written by an author, but this Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I mean, he did not write this book. Somebody else compiled his tweets, some of his podcasts, some of his concepts about wealth creation and all of this stuff I really like. I mean, it's a very and this is the thing, most of even the books, a lot of things personally I don't agree to. I'll not take it. But there's so much value still in it. Then about podcasts, I am like a pick and choosy kind of a guy. I don't stick to one particular podcast. It's on topics that sometimes it's about parenting. Okay. But I listen to Huberman Lab sometimes. I'm into a lot of physical activities. I do mountain biking. I do kickboxing. I like off-roading, skills, things like this. I don't listen to any marketing podcast because I believe, I don't know, for some reason I cannot listen to any marketing podcast. Right. I believe there are other people in my team who will actually do. I'm more, then I follow particular people. Whenever they come on a particular podcast, I will go listen to them. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of young guys. I've been listening to, I think, Modern Wisdom. There is a podcast by Chris Willicks. He brings some very interesting guests, like very, very interesting guests. In all areas. Yes. It's like Chris Willicks is like the Tim Ferriss of the 2022, 2024. Even Tim Ferriss came recently. So there are times. So these are some of the books, and there are a lot of other books as well. But I can't. But this Almanac Naval Ravikant, Give and Take.
What gets you here won't get you.
What gets you here won't get you there. For me, it's like when I'm stuck, that is when I actually go, okay, let me see what are their books on this. And mostly there is one habit I do. I like to learn from people in my circle without even asking them. I try to find out what they're doing. And one thing that I missed also was when you're taking anybody as a mentor or advisor, always go for people who have at least done where you want to reach. People who have accomplished something or even failed. Don't go out there and take advice from people who have not gone through that experience themselves, positive or negative. So I usually follow this. Like, even if I'm reading a book, I know what that person has done, then I'm more inclined towards. So when I'm got into this whole edtech thing, I started listening to a lot of podcasts with the edtech guys. So, this is how, like, based on the demand, I will listen. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Sheyaf. That was quite an interesting conversation, quite insightful. Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed thoroughly listening to you because there are some areas that really, I picked up a lot of insights from what you've mentioned. Definitely, we'll get together again.
Definitely. And thank you. This was very, not random, I would say, out of the blue. Day first, you messaged me. And in fact, I was just joking to my wife today that I just cut my hair. My hair was longer. If I was going to this podcast, I would not have cut my hair. This is a different look. I was joking with her. So I'm very glad that, we were able to do this.
Great.
And thank you for having me.
All right, thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed, whoever is listening, watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this as well.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us. And we are available on Podcast and Apple and Spotify and YouTube. Do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next show. Thank you.